Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this session is growing to meet the needs of restaurants. We're starting off with Heather and Roger Orton of Toast out of Pittsburgh, Kansas. And not only are they supporting local growers by having their food at the restaurant, but they're also supporting their community by hosting those growers to sell their food and then to also give it to the food bank as well. And I'll let you guys tell a little bit more about that.
Thank you. As she said, I am Heather Horton. This is Roger Horton. I will be doing all of the talking because Roger is not into presentations. I'm kind of not either, but here we are. So bear with me. I'll probably be looking at my notes a lot. I want to start off with asking how many of you are growers? So how many of you are buyers? So a little mix. Okay, good. I was like, am I talking to restaurants or am I talking to farmers? I'm not sure. So I'll try to speak to both. And if I miss something, please ask. I'll have time at the end, I hope, if I don't ramble too much. So to get started, why source local, even when it's challenging? And when I say challenging, yeah, it's really challenging. Everything from issues with produce to timing and everything else, but it's worth it in the long run because flavor matters. Obviously, when you go to a restaurant, you want it to taste good. And buying from local growers, we have a leg up already. It's just delicious off the bat, and so it makes our job a lot easier. And then it makes us a little more unique, especially from where we're from. You guys, if you're from around here, you're lucky you have a lot of farm to table, but where we're from, we don't. So we're actually from Girard, Kansas, which is about 15 minutes from Pittsburgh. We grew up in a rural town, and you would think because we're surrounded by farmers that this would be a little more mainstream, but it's not for us. So when we got started, we were kind of one of the only ones doing it. So it does make it a little unique. And luckily, over the last couple of years, a few more have jumped on the board and have been doing the same. So it's nice to see that happening. By sourcing locally, we're staying true to our own values. And by sourcing locally, we are not only supporting our community by providing fresh produce and options. Like, we don't even have a fryer. We didn't even choose to put a fryer in our kitchen because every single place around us, it's all fried food. It's all off a truck. So we made those choices consciously, and I think that really makes us stand out. I have to remember that I'm the one pushing the button. All right. And can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I don't yell at you. Okay. There we go. Just a nice little photo of some of the food we make. Roger loves taking photos. I don't know if you can tell. All right. This started before we ever opened a restaurant. Our love for sourcing and working with local people. I used to go to the farmers market. We owned a cake shop downtown for 12 years, 10 years before we turned it into the bakery that we have now. And so I would always go every weekend, get to know the farmers, buy for personal use. And then slowly it was like, okay, how can I can't go somewhere and just buy lunch that someone has made with the products that I'm buying myself. So I started selling lunches out of our bakery. And there was a need for that. So we sold out every time, and then just kind of grew those relationships, not only with our customers, but also with the farmers that I was buying from at the market. And I'm sure many of you have gone to a farmer's market or you sell at one. So you know that is a space for community. And so we just grew those relationships over time. I had to really work on our small growers to gain their trust, what I was doing when we were starting a restaurant. We didn't even plan to start a restaurant. And so like, why would they believe me? So I had to, like, I can't produce enough for your restaurant. There's no way. So I had to really talk them into it. And so gaining their trust before we started buying the larger volumes was a big deal. And with that, I had to meet them where they're at. And I feel like that's kind of across the board in our business, whether it's your employees or the people you're working with, just try and meet them where they're at, see their side of, and work together to come to a consensus and something that's beneficial for both sides. A lot of them, like I said, had quantity anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, you need how many radishes? And I started off, I'm just like, I will buy what you can grow, or I will buy a portion of what you can grow, and I will supplement in other ways. And whether that is through other farmers, or if right now, if I have to buy from the store, fine, but we will get there one way or another. And so we started very small, so that they could feel confident about it. Because buying from them, I could then take it, make dishes, show them, and then get the community support as well. And once you have the community support and they are also sharing that this is happening, then they're like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. And then they want to be more involved and help in that way. So it took some time though. I mean, we're 6 years in. Yeah. And I'm still trying to be like, but you grow such good tomatoes. Please let me buy them. So it's a long process. Not only did they have consistency concerns, but as a restaurant, we have consistency concerns, and that's about, the quantity, the quality, the timing across the board. Just as much as they're worried about can they grow, I'm worried about are they going to show up on time? Am I going to have this product that I thought I was going to have? And if they don't tell me ahead of time before I have to make my other orders, then I'm going to be out or short. And so it's just things like that where you really have to communicate and make sure that everyone's on the same page to make it work. And we've done pretty good with that. So I have here lowering expectations, and sometimes that's a negative thing, but I feel like with this, when you're trying to connect people who are maybe new to working with restaurants or vice versa, that if we start low, we can always grow that. So I have a lot of friends in the industry that get a little frustrated when they reach out to a grower or a producer and they don't automatically get excited about working with them. And so they just blow them off and they don't do it. So yeah, it takes a lot of patience, I feel like, to work with people. We're all humans. For whatever reason, we have our own insecurities about what we're doing. And so just helping to raise each other up along the way, and that, me being vulnerable with them, like, this is new to me too. I'm learning how to do this. I don't know as much about tomatoes as you do, or whatever, so just really having those conversations. This is a picture of Greenbush Education Center. It's outside of Girard, and they have a greenhouse and they do hydroponics. Aquaponics is with fish, right? So hydroponics. But they grow a lot of other stuff. But when I first reached out to them about sourcing, she was like, what? We don't do that. Like, I know you don't, but what if you did? They have a culinary program as well. And so over the last 6 years, we've worked with the culinary kids. We've had interns from there. So they've come and interned at the restaurant. But over this time, so now they grow for the culinary program. They weren't doing that previously. And I'm not saying like we did it, I'm not saying that we did all the work, but I am saying like it put that seed in their brain to spark that. So, and they gain confidence, and now we source several different varieties of lettuce, They grow some tomatoes. We have basil year long. They grow dill for us, especially in the winters. So that's nice for a restaurant to have that we wouldn't have otherwise. And it's all kids, so it's all an educational. If you don't know where to start, just start anyway. Start small. Like I said, you could buy a pound at a time. You could buy one bunch. You could buy whatever it is, just start. And as you start and you buy what exists already. So like I said, I go to farmers markets. I still do that. And I see who's out there, who's new, who I can connect with. But I started by buying one CSA. I bought the smallest box I possibly could because when we were opening the restaurant, I didn't know, will this even go over? Will our clientele like it? Will it taste good? Will we be able to use it before it goes bad? Like all of the questions. So I started with just one box and now we buy several boxes. And from different farmers. But Misty Morning Farms is the one that we started with. And we've built a relationship with them over time. And now when I need something or if I'm making a larger batch, I say, hey, Misty, what do you guys got going on? Maybe, hey, do you have something that you can't sell? Do you have something that people aren't buying? And then we turn it into something delicious. I'm biased. We started off right off the bat when I have a conversation with a farmer, I make sure that they know that I'm willing to pay a premium price. We're bakers. We've been in the food service industry for over 40 years. We know it takes time. It takes a lot of your time. It takes a lot of your effort, brain power, physical, to grow. So we want to make sure that we're paying what things are worth, and that we can make it work on our end. If something has to be higher for whatever reason, we can make adjustments on our side to our recipes or the amount that we use in the recipe, on the dish, on the plate. And so I'm speaking to both farmer and restaurant person that, you have to be willing to make adjustments and you have to be willing to work on the fly sometimes to make it work, because you're not going to get the same thing every time. Unless you're buying off the truck, you're going to get the same thing, but it's not going to taste as good and it's not going to work as well. So that's where inconsistency becomes the norm. It was really hard in the beginning when we got started because we're a rural town. There's not a lot of chefs. There's not a lot of like anybody who actually knows how to actually cook. So we I don't know a nicer way to say that. A lot of very green cooks. So, or they think they're a cook and then they come and all they've done is flip burgers and fry things. So we had to really spend a lot of time teaching, which is great because it gave me the idea to have our own chef and training program. And so we started that last year.
Yep.
Yeah, last year. This is Meredith. She's one of our chef in training, and she's working on some delicata squash. And so when we do small tasks like cutting a vegetable, we also learn, what to do with it after it's cut. We learn how to wash it. We learn what to do if it's a different size, because if you've cooked it all, if you're trying to roast something and they're completely different sizes, they're not going to cook consistently. So little things like that, they learn a lot along the way. But we know what to do with items that are not consistent. And when I mean not consistent, I'm also talking about like maybe half of it's rotten, which you don't want, but it happens. And so our crew has been trained on what to do with that. And that does take a lot more effort, a lot more time on our part. And they have to have a little bit of want to learn about it, and they have to care a little bit. And I think that over this past 6 years, people are starting to come to us now because they're interested in learning. But in the beginning, it was a struggle. So difference in timing, like I said earlier, you know, are they going to show up on the right day or are they going to forget? But that also goes to like, it's nature, right? Your crops don't always do what you want them to do, and weather has a big part of that. And I'm not going to stand here and say, well, I wanted those on Tuesday. Why are they not ready? Because I realize that that's just not the reality of it. So again, communication is very important. This one's a hard one. A lot of people don't like stress, and they don't like confrontation. But there's a way to do it kindly. I always talk about this one time that I first I bought from a lady eggs I never bought from before. I didn't think to ask if they're washed. I didn't think to ask, you know, all the questions because I've been working with people who knew all these things. And I had bought them for a personal reason. I was just testing some recipes at home, but she delivered them and I opened it and they're covered in poop. Which is not okay, especially if you're going to have that at a restaurant. So, I had to gently say, hey, if we're going to continue this relationship, I do have to have those washed. And she said, I don't want to do that. And I said, okay, sounds good. So we came to a mutual understanding that she didn't want to do it. And that was fine. And she didn't take it personally. And we were both still friends. She just sells to other people. So it works out. But I also told her, you know, if it takes more time and you have to charge more to wash them, I'm totally down to do that. But she was like, nope, don't want to. I'm like, all right, cool. So we moved on and everything's great. But I could have just ignored it and I could have just like stopped talking to her or, you know, ghosted her. And that's not how you grow a community. So we had the hard conversation and she took it really well and we're all good now. If I do get something where the quality is not quite what we would like, we have ways to use it still, but I might say, hey, was there a reason that these were all wilted? Was there a reason that this was brown or whatever? And just talk about it. And maybe it's fixable, maybe it's not. But then we still figure out how to use it. And maybe I'm not going to pay a premium price. And we discuss that. Because the relationships come first. The people come first. Always. Creativity is the safety net. And I've mentioned this a couple times already, but surplus can become an opportunity, especially for us, because that's my jam. I want to make food that people love, and I really enjoy making it out of things that they think they hate. So a lot of times if I'm doing a class or something, I'll say, what do you not like? I want to know what you don't like. Because there's been several people that I have been able to convince to eat beets. I've been able to convince them to eat zucchini. And that's a story. I had a farmer one time, you know, by the end of growing season, everyone's sick of zucchini. You're tired of eating zucchini bread. You don't want to eat it fresh, like you're done with it. But what do we all love? We love to dip chips into dip. So I came up with like a play on a baba ganoush, sort of blended in some beans and made a dip out of it and roasted it. And I got so many people to eat it and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, zucchini. And they're like, no. So that's my jam. And I know that that's that's not everyone's like that, but it is good to think in that mindset, especially if you're running a restaurant. If a farmer comes and gives you 2 big loads of something, you gonna throw it away? No, I hope not. I hope you figure out a way to sell it, because that benefits them, it benefits you, and it's all good. So the waste becomes a product that I can sell, and make people happy, I hope. And my knowledge that I've gained over the years, it compounds over time. So this last year might have been zucchini, this year might be carrots. I don't know, so you just learn as you go, and you use that knowledge as you go along. Cost control is non-negotiable. Costs are outrageous. You guys know, everybody knows. Whether it's at home or at your business or on the farm, costs have been insane. So it's hard from the restaurant point of view for me to buy from someone who doesn't know what they're worth. And I don't mean like this is your first time and you just don't know. I mean, what did you put into that? What labor did you put into the product you're trying to sell me? Have an idea at least of what you think it is. You can always negotiate, you can always change that, but at least know what ingredients or what you're using, and then it'll give me a better idea of what ingredients I'm using, and I can keep my profits where they need to be, and I can adjust my recipes as I need to. So very important. Numbers, I hate numbers. I'm not, he's the numbers guy. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it's a necessary evil, and having those conversations, and you don't want to haggle, and we want to pay what it's worth, but you also have to keep in mind, what the customer is willing to pay. So sometimes, and I'm just going to kind of blow through my slides. So I'm going to just truck on through because I really want to just talk to you guys, and I want you to ask questions. So I'm going to get through these and we'll get to that. But in our experience, relationships aren't transactional. Sometimes the support that we give to someone is not always reciprocal. We have a lot of farmers that we don't really align on some values. Those values. That's a quiet conversation in the corner later, but Roger's a little more grumpy about it than I am. But to me, if we are in it for the right reasons on both sides, we can come to a, meet in the middle, come to a consensus. And as long as we can both have a mutually beneficial relationship, then it's worth it. And if we're all doing it for the right reasons, then we're good. But to us, like, it's okay. You don't have to like everything about us, and I don't have to like everything about you. And that's a hard one to swallow for some people because a lot of things are so polarized these days. But seeing the big picture is the most important. And it does matter. We have some growers and farmers that they come and eat at the restaurant. They eat our food. They love it. They talk to our employees. Our employees get to know them. They sell more of whatever we're making of their product. They post on social media. It's a full circle. And then we have some that have never set foot in our restaurant for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't ask. But if you are going to work together, it does help both sides to be reciprocal in that. And whether that's, on Facebook, social media, telling your friends, whatever. But it is important. But finding your people takes time. Like I said, we're 6 years in. We had our first business for about 12 years. So we've been at this a long time. People know us by what we do, and who we source from. But we still have a hard time finding people that do align with us and are willing to have that reciprocal relationship. So having the trust along the way helps. And eventually people from the outside will be like, hey, I've been following you for a while. I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing. Do you want to sell my stuff? And we're like, heck yeah, we do. So Perry's Pork Rinds is one of them that reached out to us. We sell their products in our market, and we don't sell a lot, but it gives them an outlet to our area because they're in Bronson, so we're a little far away, but she's really good about communicating and sharing. Like if I make a post, or she'll come in every time, take a picture. She did a video of Roger's bread because she didn't believe that sourdough could be soft. So just things like that, that those people eventually come and find you. All right, our goal in the food chain. Our goal is to shorten the food chain in our area specifically. Try to reduce the middleman. We source, I say, hyper local, so we try to buy from Pittsburgh and the surrounding area, Girard, then Southeast Kansas, and then if we have to go out from there. So even when I'm thinking about buying a product, and let's say Guy's chips, that's a good one. It's not locally grown, but they do have a manufacturing facility in Kansas. So if I have to buy something and I can't get it easily accessible to me, then I'll look at, what other industries are in Kansas that I can buy from. I may not be explaining that very well, but it was, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
regional, local and regional.
Yeah, regional, there you go. But we try to keep as much as we can local, and we try to stay within Kansas. And we always try to offer a better quality product by doing that. So we have been working on this program since 2023.
Yeah.
It's a Spread the Loaf program. It's a community bread loaf share program that we started in our town because we don't really have anything like this. So we buy wheat, we buy flour from Kansas farmers, and then Roger takes it and he turns it into delicious sourdough bread. And then our community will buy loaves, and then we distribute those loaves to local food banks. And so they're getting a more nutritional loaf of bread than what they might get otherwise, like from the grocery store. It doesn't have any added, junk that they put into it. No added sugar, any of that kind of stuff. So it's automatically better for them. We think it tastes good. I think they think it tastes good too. But we have, let's see, go to this one. I gotta get my numbers. We have done over 2,000 loaves since the inception of it. And that's us not really trying, because we've been trying to grow the bakery. We got a grant through the USDA and the KDA for more equipment so that we, in the future this year, we will be able to grow those numbers exponentially. Hopefully, we just got our website and things like that. So we're lining things up to grow those numbers this year. But the reason that we started doing this is because we saw a lack of nutrition at food banks. I have a lot of friends that work at the food banks and donate their time. And if you've ever done that, then you've seen what goes out the door. And so we saw this as a way to support local growers, support our community, and feed people a quality product that will hopefully help in their health in the long run. Let's see. Make sure I did anything on that. Okay. If you want to know more about the program, I'm happy to talk about it later. How am I doing on time? Anybody? I should have had you keep track.
It's 3:34.
Okay, so I'm over time, right?
No.
We start late? Huh? Well, they have to talk to you. I'll skip through this. We also do a spice library program where we provide all the spices and a recipe each month, and our local library gives it for free out to anybody who wants it. We just expanded that to Frontenac and Girard this year. So that's really cool. And my next step with that is to source local spices. So if anyone knows anybody, come see me. Final takeaway, start small. Talked about that a lot. Let it evolve over time. Build your community, build your relationships. People matter the most. I always laugh. People are like, what do you love about your job? What do you hate about your job? People. Like this week was definitely a Friday the 13th. I think every single day of the week. And I think everyone knew we were going out of town. And so everything that could happen did happen.
And
The sky knew too, yeah. It rained on us. When we go out of town, it rains. It's a joke, just every time. I'm not gonna take questions because I think it's time for them to talk. I don't know. Is anyone? I'm gonna say somebody in charge. Tell me what to do. Are we?
Yeah, if we want to, what we can do is take questions at the end from everybody. If that
Okay.
works. That way
Cool.
we can make sure we get everyone. Awesome.